Hi there, John Wilkinson again. And in this video, I'm going to look at the impact of technology on World War One and the significance that it had. Not an area which I'm naturally interested in. Technology doesn't do a lot for me, but actually it's one of those things that when you look at it, it really is quite interesting. And of course for you guys, it could well be an exam question. So there's a pragmatic reason for looking at this. So technology and its impact on World War One. Technology. And here's two past exam questions, both from paper 2. Technological developments were not significant to the outcome of 20th century wars. Discuss with reference to 2 wars. Discuss the importance of technological developments to the outcome of 2 20th century wars, each from a different region. Now, some considerations to think about with these questions and our approach to them. Note that outcome is the focus of each question. And outcome means the way things turned out, the consequence of something. So for us here, outcome could mean the impact on the result of the war, on winning and losing, the impact on strategies and tactics, or the impact on casualties. You could use all 3 of those bullet points there, or you could focus on just one of them. As long as you are focused on answering the question, there will still be choices for you to make in how you decide to answer that question. And in questions like these, you can use examples from each war to support each point that you make, or you can contrast one war with the other. Again, you have a degree of control here in how you choose to answer the question. So, where do we see technological developments being applied in World War One? Now, I know you're likely to go straight to the battlefield. Totally understandable. But try and think a bit wider. My first bullet point looks at the use made of railways. Railways were still new technology in World War One, and railways were so important to mobilizing those armies, getting them to the front quicker than would otherwise have been the case. On the battlefield, we have artillery, we have the machine gun, and I always like to include barbed wire with the machine gun. It made for a much more lethal killing machine. We have tanks, and I've put gas. There may be other things, but I think they're the big ones, and there's plenty there for us to be working with. In the air, there is the significance of aerial reconnaissance. By the end of the war, the aeroplane was quite a significant weapon for both sides. And aerial reconnaissance by the end of the war made for a much more accurate artillery fire and a much more efficient artillery fire. And also we have the use of the plane in all-arms battle that I'll come to later, but by the end of the war, the aeroplane was taking a much bigger part actually as battles unfolded. Now I come to on the sea, or really I suppose I should have written under the sea, and submarines are an incredibly technological breakthrough in warfare that we see for the first time in World War One, particularly when we consider German tactics. And thinking of tactics, we have the impact on changed tactics. And again, I highlight all arms battle, when new technology was really put to use. All arms battle is what it suggests. It's everything thrown at the enemy in a coordinated way. The artillery fire was much more effective. Aeroplanes were used for strafing the enemy forces and for bombing them. And machine guns were made lighter so that an attacking force could carry them with them and put them to use. All arms battle was used by both sides. We see it in the Ludendorff offensive, and we see it in the final push of the Entente powers that brought Germany to seek an armistice. Very important. But both questions give you the option to bring in other factors when you're considering the impact of one factor, technology in this case. For questions like this, I would think of a 2-to-1 ratio. The questions mention technology. So for every 2 points you make about technology, you have the option, if you wish to choose it, to make 1 point about another factor. I hope that makes sense. Here's the other factors that I'm suggesting you could consider. Economic strength, the ability for the two sides to make their war machines. That's what we're getting at essentially. And then we have the mobilization of resources, or the organization of the home front, if you prefer. And that includes the mobilization, the organization of people. We have leadership, and think of leadership both politically and militarily. We have strategies that are used, different strategies almost for each year of the war. And I think as well we have the fighting spirit that was always important and ultimately broke, I think, on the German side and led to victory. So other factors are important too. So there we have the impact of technology on World War One. Plenty of opportunities, I think you can see, for really good marks in that kind of question. Cheers.